20 years of being in the business or whatever. But I mean, I cannot taste some of the stuff that people say that they taste. I've seen, literally, I saw a description of gunmetal one time, and I won't tell you where I read it, but it has notes of gunmetal, and I'm like, what would you know what gunmetal tastes like? Did you actually, was life that bad that you took a gun and stuck it in your mouth and go, that tastes like gunmetal, and then you went and smoked a cigar? I mean, things like that are a little bit esoteric for me. I mean, it's a little bit out there. So, listen, we all know there's, I think, 5 different tastes that your taste buds and your palate can pick up, like sweet, sour, bitter, salt, and then umami or whatever it is. I mean, that's what it is. And every other description, whether it's honey, nutmeg, cinnamon, graham crackers, all that stuff, it's like, I don't get it, man, sometimes, to be honest with you. So,
I think a lot of that is an interpretation from the reviewer over what they can just, something that's close to it that they ate. I mean, I know I had man,
but I've read some of the stuff online, and it's like, well, in the first third, I picked up notes of, dark coffee with sweet and low and da-da-da-da-da. In the second third, I picked up graham crackers with marshmallow topping, and then in the final third, it kind of burned more towards like nutmeg and cinnamon. And I'm like, come on. That's all I'm saying as far as that goes. But it's a bit much, guys. But I enjoy it. It's fun. That's the romance of the industry, and that's what we're in it for. So.
Yeah, that guy must have ate a lot of paint chips when he was young.
I don't know, man. But the gunmetal is a true story, man. It wasn't recent. It was probably about 10 years ago, but I read gunmetal one time.
Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Somebody had a question, and I missed it.
No, I think we got them all.
No, Cigar Lifter had a question. I remember seeing it. Let me go back up. Oh, he did. He says, okay. He said, John, why do you not like big ring gauge cigars?
To be honest, I'm going to give you the clinical answer. First of all, I look like an absolute idiot trying to smoke a 6x60. It doesn't fit me. I'm not a large person. I'm 5'11", probably like 185, 90 or whatever, but it never appealed to me. The other reason why is I think in a lot of cases, most cases, that a 60 ring gauge really dumbs down the blend. When you really want to smoke a cigar and taste the intensity of the flavor profile of the cigar, smaller ring gauges tend to do that because of the ratio of wrapper to binder filler. Somebody that's very astute in the cigar industry many years ago told me that if you really want to taste a manufacturer's potential, ask for Coronas. Because if you can make a great Corona, then you can make a fantastic Robusto or Toro. So I've always kind of, from that point, I've leaned towards evaluating blends based on 42s, 44s, 46s, 50s tops. 60 just, like, for instance, LX2, when we were working on that blend, it's a very intense, full-bodied, strong blend. It's all about Ligero, And to me, it wasn't the most complex, rounded blend. It wasn't what I would look for in smoking a cigar, but at that time, people were into the VSGs and that kind of a thing. And so we released it with some success, and then when we decided to come out with 6x60, because everybody kept asking for 6x60, I would smoke that next to like a 50, and it really dumbed down the intensity of the flavor of that blend. And same thing with like Brasilia, and it's just, it doesn't do it for me. To me, it's not a good way to evaluate a blend. I just never been a big fan. That's not to say we won't ever make a 60 ring gauge cigar. Who knows? We may do that, but for me personally, for my palate, 50 is about the high end for me.
All right. Oh, good old Walt's back again with another question for you, John.
Another great question from Walt.
Another great question.
Come on, Walt.
What do you have in mind for the first Crown Head cigar? Do you prefer like a more consistency in taste from start to end, or do you want something that's going to change? Would you like to rather have something that really changes?
To me, it's actually a very good question. I enjoy cigars that actually that they evolve in taste as you smoke them. I think when you smoke a cigar and it's the same from the start to the finish, there's nothing interesting to keep me going. It's got to have some evolution and some build up, I suppose, if you will. As to what we're looking for in the first brand, as we smoke. In fact, what I'm smoking here is a sample from a manufacturer that I'm just kind of playing around with. But I want something that is not like a powerhouse. I don't want a very strong cigar. It seems to be, even today, still that the idea is to create like these, pardon my French, but ass kicker cigars. And to me, cigar smoking has always been about pleasure and about escape and just enjoyment. And to me, if I have to be challenged to smoke a cigar, I'm not interested. You know, it shouldn't be a challenge. It should be a relaxing, enjoying moment. And I'm looking for a cigar that's got balance above and beyond anything. To me, balance is everything. If I can smoke a cigar and say it tasted like black pepper, or it tasted like nutmeg or cinnamon or whatever, to me, that's a one-note cigar. I'm not interested in developing a one-note cigar. I want something that's got texture and layers. It's even, and you're challenged to say, well, I'm not really sure what it tastes like, but it was really smooth and rich and complex, and I loved it. That, to me, is the benchmark of a great cigar. And I've seen a few cigars and smoked a few cigars that are like that. And to me, none of them were very powerful cigars. You know, I'll give you an example going back to my CIO days. You know, we sold a lot of Brasilia while I was there. Brasilia was always one of the top 2 or 3 selling brands at CIO. And it was probably one of the cigars that I smoked the most infrequently of any cigars that we developed, because it tasted to me like black pepper. And that's all I could taste was black pepper. I knew as soon as I lit it, it was going to be peppery, and as soon as I finished it, it was going to taste peppery. There wasn't really much evolution in the cigar, so it wasn't interesting to me. You know, and then I smoked today like a cigar like Epernay. You know, when I smoke that cigar, it's so balanced and rich and soft and lush that I enjoy that cigar. I seek that cigar out, and I love smoking that cigar. Pete's Cabai One is another example to me that is very balanced and rich, and you know, and that's what I'm looking for basically, to develop is a cigar that has that. That's not just strong or peppery or something that's got complexity to it.
Now, are you going to start out more along the boutique line, like Dion, like Pete, you know, with a smaller quantity and test the waters, or are you going to do a full-blown rollout? Or don't you know?
Well, I do know, Mike. Would you like to know?
Yes, we would like to know. Break it right here and Stogie411.
No, in fact, on the other side of this laptop is a map of the United States that has a bunch of flags stuck in it. And we've been spending a good bit of time like targeting retailers, and our concept for going forward is more about geography than anything else. We want to be able to make the brands available for people across the United States without having to go through an online retailer or a catalog or internet. Our retail aspect of the brand is geared towards brick and mortar. We want to support brick and mortar, and that's it. We don't want to be found in XYZ catalog or on this online thing. You know, buy 3 get 5 cigar cases free and all that stuff. It's not for us. So, you know, however many accounts that ends up being, I don't know at this point. I'm guessing it's going to be small, but it's not about being boutique. It's not about being cute and limited edition this and small batch that and all that. It's really about how many retailers across the country from an even geographical distribution can we supply based on the product inventory and continually supply that. We don't want to come out and make a release, it sells out, and then go, oh, well, you can't get it for 6 more months. That's not interesting to me. So, yeah, we do know, and we are doing it, again, like as I said, geographically, trying to make an even database of accounts across the country where you don't have to order it online, where you don't have to go through a catalog or a discounter, because I want to support brick and mortar.
Great. Well, Matt's got a question, actually, almost similar to what I was just going to ask you, but he asks, what do you think of cigar shops that sell online but at MSRP prices?
I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with are, internet sites that sell like $2 above cost or whatever. They kind of bastardize your product and make it hard for the brick and mortar guys to stay in business. And brick and mortar is where this business started. I mean, you look at it like a company like W. Curtis Draper. I mean, they've been, I'm going to guess, 130 years probably in that location, or in D.C. I mean, man, that's Americana. You got to support that. And if you've got, XYZ.com selling that stuff for, what they can't compete with, how are those guys going to stay in business? And I think it's important for our generation and generations to come to support that old Americana, to stay with the tradition and stay with, what really built the cigar industry. And I'm not interested in, I can name names, but I'm not going to. There's some internet sites out there that really can ruin a brand. Yeah, they can sell volume and make you a lot of money, but next year you're going to wake up and guess what? The brick and mortars aren't going to want to support you.
Exactly.
And that's not what I want to do. It's not what we want to do at Crowned Heads. It's not the philosophy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, going back to CAO, we, towards the end, when we were acquired, we were forced to do exactly that with some of our brands. And it hurt a lot. We didn't want to sell out, so to speak, but when you're acquired and your purse strings are tied by some innocuous company across the pond, you have no choice but to do what they tell you to do. And unfortunately, I saw what happened. We took a beautiful little family business owned by the Osgener family that was really built on love and passion and relationships, and then these guys come in and they just totally, we want to see our profit. That's all it was, is how much money can you make me? That's the unfortunate reality. I don't ever want to be in a position. I could speak for everybody that works at Crowned Heads right now, and anybody that will ever get hired at Crowned Heads. We will never do that.
That's
I
good.
like that. Yeah, it's good. Now Matt does with about releasing. Now I have the same problem in my area. The closest shops to me, bigger shops. Well, the closest one is probably about a half hour away, and then you're out 45 minutes to an hour or longer from me. Mm-hmm. And in an area like this,